Hello, my name is Noegli Diaz, and I chose the cacao to be the topic of my presentation. Its scientific name is Theobroma cacao. It has a lot of common names such as cocoa, cocoa tree, chocolate tree, cacao tree, and food of the gods. Its conservation status is not yet a concern among people. Its habitat is a tropical rainforest. It has a lot of uses such as in food, medicinal, cosmetics, peat mulch, alternative, among others. And there's a lot of characteristics of the cacao, such as its class, subclass, and so on and so forth. As I said before, nowadays we can find the cacao in Colombia and Venezuela. The cocoa bean was common currency throughout Mesoamerica before the Spanish conquest. Cacao trees will grow in a limited geographical zone of approximately 20 degrees to the north and south of the equator. Chocolate was introduced to Europe by the Spaniards and became a very popular beverage by the mid-17th century. The Spaniards also introduced the cacao tree into the West Indies and the Philippines. The cacao was also introduced into the rest of Asia and into West Africa by the Europeans. Finally, we can say that this very popular plant, it's very modern in Ghana, and it was introduced by an African called Tetet Kwarshi. In this slide and in the next slide as well, I'm just showing you the chemicals that we can find in the different types of cacao, or the different forms where we can find the cacao. The first form we find it's the cacao beans. The cacao beans has a lot of water, fat, ash, nitrogen, theobromine, caffeine, starch, and crude fiber. In addition to this, the cacao butter has a lot of glycerides in it. As I stated before, these are some of the chemicals, or most of the chemicals, that the cocoa powder in this case contains. It has a lot of cocoa butter, the pH of this cocoa powder, the percentage of ash it contains, the water, phosphate, nitrogen, protein, and other compounds and substances. To get the chocolate, which is the substance we want at the end, is not that simple. The farmers and manufacturers has to go to a lot of steps to prepare the chocolate. The first step is the plucking and opening the pods. The cocoa beans grow in pods that sprout off the trunk and branches of cocoa trees. The pods are about the size of a football field. These pods start green and turn orange when they're ripe, such as any other fruit or any other vegetable. The step 2 is fermenting the cocoa seeds. Now the beans undergo the fermentation process. They are either placed in a large, swallow, and heated trays, or covered with large banana leaves. If the climate is right, they may be simply heated by the sun. Workers come along periodically every single day and stir them up so that all the beans come out equally fermented. The step 3 is the drying of the cocoa seeds. After the fermentation, the cocoa seed must be dry before they can be scooped into sacks and shipped to chocolate manufacturers. Later on, they get to the manufacturers and they have to roast it and wine their cocoa. The first thing that chocolate manufacturers do with cocoa beans is roast them. This develops the color, flavor of the beans into what our modern palates expect from fine chocolate. The outer shell of the bean is removed, and the inner cocoa bean meat is broken into small pieces called cocoa nibs. The step 5 is the grinding of the cocoa nibs. Grinding is the process by which cocoa nibs are ground into cocoa liquor, which is also known as unsweetened chocolate or cocoa mass. The grinding process generates heat, and the dry granular consistency of the cocoa nib is then turned into a liquid, as the high amount of fat contained in the nib melts. Then the cocoa liquor is mixed with cocoa butter and sugar. Finally, the step 6 is the blending cocoa liquor and molding the chocolate. After all the mixing process, the blend is further refined to bring the particle size of the added milk and sugar down to the desired fineness. The cocoa powder or mass is blended into black with the butter and liquor in varying quantities to make different types of chocolate or couverture. The world's cacao's production. Although cocoa is cultivated in a wide array of countries around the equator, 70% of the production originates from Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Indonesia. Besides, the vast majority of cocoa beans come from Africa, where its cultivation was introduced from the Amazon region in the 19th century. Here you can see the world production of cacao. In the Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, in Africa, Asia, Latin America, as well as in the picture you can see the cacao distribution. The green part tells you the country with the mainly flavored cocoa, and the green sections tells you the countries with mainly consume the cocoa. As everything we eat, we need to know the benefits for our health. The cacao contains a lot of benefits. The first benefit is that dark chocolate is good for your heart. Also, dark chocolate is good for your brain. It helps control blood sugar, it's full of antioxidants, contains theobromine, and is high in vitamins and minerals. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy my presentation.